welcome to the special edition of Campus Debate. In these elections, assembly elections in the state of Gujarat, almost 15 lakh voters cast their vote for the first time, meaning that a significant number of young people finally joined the entire democratic process and went ahead and chose their government, their representatives. We are right now in the Institute of Management in Nirma University in Ahmedabad, and we are joined by a very interesting and intelligent bunch of management students. We'll go ahead and ask them as to what exactly are their aspirations, their dreams, their plans, and what are their views on several issues which concerns all of us in this country, be it the issue of development, the issue of inflation, and several other such issues. Let's begin by coming back to the issue of joining the democratic process. As I was saying, 15 lakh young voters joined this festival of democracy known as elections in the state of Gujarat. All of you must have, of the age where you get the right to go ahead and cast your vote. And most of you would have exercised your vote as well. The point is, what did you feel when you went and cast your vote for the first time in your life?
The first time I voted, the feeling was really of pride that I got the opportunity to participate in this democratic process, and secondly of excitement to exercise this vote. But there was also a sense that I should know more. There should be more, the decision should have been more informed because I was selecting my representative in the parliament. So it was a mixed feeling.
Sense of pride. My friend out there.
Well, we all talk about taking part in the system or being a part of the system. So when the first time I got a chance to vote, I really felt that yes, I'm a part of the system by selecting my candidate. And fortunately, the candidate for whom he just won by a narrow margin of 3 votes. So that importance my vote had.
But what made you go ahead and cast that vote? Was it only that you wanted to go ahead and experience as to what exactly happens when you go into that room or when you press that button, or did it have some other purpose? Were you concerned about certain issues?
While we go to vote somebody, it's the idea that we support. I might not be knowing the local candidate well, but it's the sense of faith in the leadership that I vote for. So I guess it's the idea that we support.
So the idea or the ideology or the issues. Now let's go back to the issues. The lady there wants to talk about it.
The first time that I voted was because we had all read in the textbooks like how the process goes on, how you're supposed to go and cast your vote. So there was a kind of excitement, and I wanted to know what exactly the feelings are when you go inside and you cast your vote. And that was the reason that I went in. But when I went in, I realized the seriousness of the situation when you get to choose your leader, the person whom you want to represent you at the end of the day. And it's a matter of thinking.
Knowing as to who is going to be your representative.
Yes.
Choosing your representative was the one thing which made you go to that polling booth. Yes, my dear friend.
I have a different take to this. Okay, we give importance to our vote. We know that. But what happens when the elected representative that we have elected doesn't actually uses his power in the parliament, like abstaining from voting? How do we feel then?
Okay, now that's going a little deeper into it and a little serious aspect of it as to once you have chosen your representative, what happens then? Now, before we go there, let's talk about issues, because as my dear friend was saying that all of us, may not be for the first time, but when we go ahead and cast our vote for the second time, we vote for some idea, we vote for a certain person, we vote on certain issues which might concern us, might concern our family, might concern our neighborhood. That's what we go ahead and look out for when we go ahead and cast our vote. What about the issue of development? All of you would have heard the election campaign in several elections, even before you were eligible to cast your votes. Everybody, all the political parties talk about the issue of development. Obviously, the ruling party will claim, the opposition will go ahead and denounce the claim. As management students, what is your concept or your understanding of development?
I think considering the demographics of a country like India, the development can be meaningful only if it is an inclusive development. But when we look around us, we find that the development actually has not been reached to a level which is including everyone and all classes of people in the society.
So it should reach, it should percolate to the last man. That's what exactly his idea of development is. Yes?
I think development includes a lot of things. It's healthcare, it's education, it's how you rank on the Human Development Index. In a recent study, in which country you should be born in 2013, Switzerland ranks the first and India is 66th. That shows where we are on the graph of development.
Taking his point forward, that he was saying that it should be an inclusive development. So I would like to say that unemployment is also one of the issues in the development of a country. As a report published by NSSO, it says that around from rural youth who had educated, around 13.9% were unemployed. And that shows that in our rural areas, there are not enough opportunities for employment. And because of that, this is happening. Also, if we talk about the urban areas, still 8% are unemployed. That shows that somewhere there is a gap between the person who is getting educated and he's getting employed.
Yes, yes, my dear friend.
Development for me is like improving your today from your yesterday. And if you look at India as a country, post LPG, post liberalization, India for me has developed in a lot of ways, economically as well as on the political aspects of it all. So development basically does not have to be ranked on a certain ranking or something. It has to be set with a comparable standard. What were we yesterday and what are we today?
Let's go to that lady before we go in for a short break.
We should compare ourselves with ourselves only, what we were in the past, what we were yesterday and what we are today, and we should set a standard for ourselves for tomorrow. Not we should not
So
like
a comparative analysis. Comparative analysis might lead to go ahead and understand as to what kind of development we want, how do we want to move ahead, and development will include all these services: healthcare, education, employment opportunities, lack of employment opportunities, and maybe the growing economy as well. All of these will come back. We'll definitely come back and continue this discussion, and we'll definitely talk about the most important points of employment and education. How should we go ahead and address challenges before us in these two particular areas? Before that, let's take a short break. We'll come back and we'll discuss the several important issues which relates to development and definitely about employment and education as well. Welcome back. Before we went to the break, we spoke about the most important issue of development, and all our friends out here were very eager to go ahead and point out several important factors or several important ingredients of the entire issue of developments, be it the issue of education, employment, healthcare. Now my question is, what is the most important thing for you when it comes to the issue of development, or when it comes to all these issues? What is it? Is it employment? Is it the kind of structure, education structure we have? Yes, my dear.
For me, there would be two important factors. One would be the employment opportunity. The second would be healthcare. According to some recent stats, it's claimed that by 2015, India would have approximately 240 million plus children in the bracket of 0 to 10 years. Now, do we have the infrastructure to support their health? Well, you can argue that the government doesn't provide, or we haven't elected the right people. So if it boils down to voting, I would say my message would be that cast your vote, but don't vote your caste.
Okay, great. Cast your vote, but don't vote your caste. That's what the message my dear friend has out there. Apart from healthcare, yes, please.
Yeah, I have a different point of view. Yeah. And I also have a different point of view in the sense the education plays a very important role. Being a management person out here, we are pursuing our education. India only having the 71% of education level till now. And what the importance of education, only we people like the youth of the India can know the importance about it. And we should take care of it. We should come up with the campaign, and we should join the campaign such as the Teach for India campaign. We should work out for that. The actual onus lies on us. We are the future of this country.
The onus lies on us. We should ensure that the literacy level goes high, but how? How do we achieve that? Yes, the lady out there in the back.
Actually, for me, it's the perception that we people in India follows. There is a program, Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan program that the governments run. But in a survey, it has been shown that people of lower income group, they send people their children to this plan. Under this plan, only 35 to 37% of them believe that education is important. More than 57% of them they send their children because of the midday meal. They don't take education as a necessity, although it is an imperative factor in the development. But then, how we perceive our education system to be, that matters more.
Awareness, that's what exactly you're pointing out.
I agree that education is a very important issue, but another major issue that we face today is corruption. And we have a lot of policies. We say the government has a lot of policies, but then how much of the money is actually spent on the things that it should be spent for? It isn't, because of the issue of corruption. Then we have so many companies that those major investment moves out of the country because they have issues here in the country.
Too many hands out here. Let us speak to the friend right next to the lady.
We all know that we always see the growth or the development in terms of education or the health in terms of numbers. But actually, what does those numbers mean? Actually, what does matters is the quality. The quality of development, the quality of education, the quality of healthcare. Whatever we pay, is it worth it? Or are we getting the quality which is undermining our the values and standards? So those things are to be concerned.
Quality has to be maintained. Quality has to be maintained. Yes, yes.
And that quality should include two factors. One is the vocational training that will take care of the employment opportunities later, which will be a growth engine for the country. And secondly, the ethics, the moral values that are imbibed in the education, so that we can have a better living standard, and that leads to the trajectory of development.
Again, an interlinking factor now. The education, the system of education, or the quality of education, which leads to better employment opportunities. Is that right? All of us, would be looking at better employment opportunities, a betterment of skills. Yes, my dear friend, he has a point out there.
Moving from education and shifting back to corruption, C.K. Prahlad in his article in Financial Express, he mentioned that because of corruption, there is an opportunity lost of nearly about $50 billion per year to our Indian economy. So that's a huge amount of loss that he quotes. And moreover, there are certain bills pending in the government, that is Lokpa bill, as well as the.
So basically what you're saying is lost opportunities because of deficient way of working, lost opportunities because some things which need to be completed, which need to be done, were not taken care of. Yes, my dear friend.
To further my friend's point, I have something to add in that you can see there are a lot of opportunities that India has currently. We have FDI and we have many other reforms that can be brought in, and India can be boomed to a next level, right? But everything is pending. There is a lot of corruption. Everything is postponed and delayed unnecessarily. There we have the Aadhaar system. We have many people coming into the Aadhaar.
Okay,
so what has been done about it?
That's a very important point, and I would like to cut in here. Reforms, FDI, Aadhaar system. We'll talk about it very soon, but let's not miss the focus out here on the issue of education and employment, since these two are going to be really crucial factors. The question is, all of you said that the employment opportunities have to be increased, the quality of education has to be brought to a higher level, and there has to be an awareness. But how do we do that? Lady out there in white, please.
As my friend mentioned, that onus lies to us. So from the figures, if 71% are literate, and if we consider even the 50% of the people are having the quality education, and if that 50% contributes, like if every one single person teaches or gives the education to other one person, then we can move the campaign. Like for example, in our institute we have a NGO called Saral, in which we students only teach the kids around our campus who stays here are not well in education. We teach them and bring them to the level. So if such campaigns are more,
so taking initiative,
Yeah.
taking initiative, going ahead and ensuring that what you want is something which you go ahead and contribute to as well, so that it comes out in a little much better way. My dear friend out here.
I'll come back again to the comparative study with ourselves and the past. I'll just like to say that if we are doing better in terms of development and in terms of providing jobs, in terms of education system than we have done in our recent past, then we are on stage of improvement, because even Rome was not built in a day. So we are trying to improve. We are moving in a positive direction. There is corruption, there is various negative facets of it, but
That's an interesting point. Even Rome was not built in a day. He's
Yeah.
right, and nothing could be done in a jiffy. Nothing could be done at at a knee-jerk reaction. It requires effort. It requires time. It requires planning. And when it comes to planning, all of you are management students. Yes.
And how to build a Rome is that simple thing, where to start. If you start at one point, it should be a cyclic reaction. Whatever we are talking here, education, employment, and everything should lead to a rural upliftment. If I am focusing education first, education should lead to a good employment, and that employment should lift the entire rural citizens of our country, and that should create again furthermore employment, and it should be like a cycle, and it should be well maintained.
It should one good thing should lead to another good thing. That's what the idea is. Yes, my dear friend.
If we talk about unemployment and literacy, they both go hand in hand. I am from a rural background, and I know that the people over there, why don't they go and join some institution, is they don't see meaning after investing their 5-10 years in education, and then again joining the same vocation as their parents had been. So you should have some interlink between what you are studying and how is it going to help you in your particular vocation, and how it would help you in your business.
It's completely interlinked. Education and employment, one good thing leading to another. Yes, please.
Taking his point forward, I would like to say that apart from basic education, you also need skills, because of which you get employed in a particular industry.
So development of skill sets, ensuring that someone or rather everyone has one or the other skill to go ahead and earn his or her living. Yes, please. Can we have the mic back there?
I agree that Rome was not built in a day, but it has been 65 years now. It's 65 years. So do you think that what the various governments that have come and done is enough? And do you think we can sit back and relax and say that, okay, someone will come up finally and do something for us?
Great. 65 years since we have attained independence, gained independence, zeal to go ahead and do more. Some of you say Rome was not built in a day. Others say that yes, that's true, but then we will have to go ahead and ensure that we step up our efforts to see that the kind of dreams which we have, or the kind of planning which we have, that is fulfilled, that is put in place. We'll come back after break and go back to the issue which our friend raised on the issue of reforms, FDI, and several other topics which we'll go ahead and discuss when we come back after the break. But before that, let's take a short break. Welcome back. Before we went to the break, we spoke about the most important issue of education and employment. How to go ahead. Our friends out here were, had several views about how to take care of the challenges in these two particular fields. Also, one of our friends spoke about reforms, the issue of FDI, and obviously some of our friends spoke about the issue of corruption as well. Now let's go back to reforms. Since all of you are management students, I can see many hands going up on the point of reforms. Yes, please, we'll start again with you.
Yes, as I was talking about the introduction of several reforms, India came up with Aadhaar system. What is the guarantee that will be happening? And the technology for retina scan and the fingerprinting, that is also not sufficient with the providers of the service. This Aadhaar registration is carried out only once or twice in a week.
So basically, you mean to say that the pace of implementation of several policy decisions should be a little faster than what it is right now? Yes, yes, please.
It was 1990s when India opened their gates for world, and it is an irrefutable fact that the way we have progressed in the last 20 years, it hasn't been possible in last 50 years previous to that. So there has been reforms that government is talking about, like FDIs, etc. But we should also take care of the interest of the people lying in the lower bottom of the pyramid. What about the Kirana wala? What about his his livelihood.
Okay, liberalization did help, but the economic policies being pursued, or rather being planned, are something which also need to take care of those people who are at the bottom level of that particular chain. Yes, please.
Yes, we really need reforms. We have talked about reforms, but let's see whether the government is or the parliament is really interested in bringing out the reforms. Sessions of parliament are being passed away without any new initiative or reform or policy being framed. The parliamentarians are blocked into their own debates and issues. They are just staging walkouts. Is the government or the parliament really interested in bringing new reforms? That is the question.
Disruptions in parliament,
Absolutely.
something which you're pointing to. Not very happy with the way the parliament has functioned in the last few sessions. Maybe more work, more productive work should have been done on the both in the both houses. Yes, please. My friend back there in red t-shirt. Yeah, please.
Well, actually, there are no actions being taken on these reforms. Everyone is trying to save their own vote bank. They are saying that it will oppose the poor. How can such reforms can oppose the poor? Like if we talk about FDI reforms, a farmer is producing, say, a fruit at a rate of 10 rupees, and the end consumer is getting at 40 rupees. So what the thing is going on, that the intermediaries, they are charging too much. Farmer is not getting what he actually deserves, and as the end consumer, we are paying too much.
Okay,
So
the benefit is not going to the deserving candidate. Farmers are not getting the benefit, the consumers buying it at a higher level. So discrepancy in what actually should have taken place on the ground. Yes, please.
I think even the FDI issue, if we look at, the point that is put forward is that the Kirana stores will be harmed. But then that again depends on the proximity to the store. If your store is not nearby to a mall, there is no chance that it will close down. There's a study which has shown that malls have closed down, but not Kirana stores, at least in the history of India.
All of us, all of you guys, seem to be very, very concerned about these issues, which are really, really important for the nation as of now. But how to go ahead and bring a change? Will youth being a part of the politics, of the system, being a part of the political system, will that help? Is that going to be helpful? Yes, please.
The youth is the major population percentage in our country, and still the general trend that you see in the urban cities and in the urban setup is that we don't want to be part of politics. We generally want to change the system but don't want to be part of the system. So it's very important, if it's our system, we need to implement those changes. We need to get our hands dirty and get the things done. So we need to get into politics and get those things done, what we want.
So you will have to get your hand dirty if you want to go ahead and ensure that something is being done. Yes, my dear friend.
Till there is casteism in politics, as we see in different states anywhere in the country, I don't think anyone is going to change the system, not even the youth, because this devil of casteism has swallowed up the politics and the political scenario in the country right since the beginning.
So basically the caste-based politics has to go. Caste-based politics, there is no place or space for caste-based politics. Yes, the man right behind you.
To change anything, we require the expertise, the experience, the will, and the dynamic nature. So, according to me, if we need to improve the economic system of the country, for the politics, it's the right mix of the young and the experienced people. It's not that only young people can do that or the only experienced can do that. It's the right mix of
it has to be
both
the right
people.
mix. Only the youngsters will not be able to do. We will have to have that mix. Yes, the lady right next to you.
I'd say being involved in politics is not only via being involved in, say, elections, but we can be involved in the system via the education sector or being part of an NGO or being in the media. Any active involvement in any which form, airing your opinion and getting the message to the right people also has an influence.
That's a very valid point. You can be part of either of these sectors and you can go ahead and contribute to that particular sector and ensure that the ideas which you want to go ahead and propagate are properly communicated. Yes, please.
Well, I think my point is an extension of her point. Getting youth into the politics would lend aggression an energy into the politics. But the primary concern should be that the way the country is being run, it should not be run like a business. The country is actually been run like a business. So we should focus more on the grassroots. It should be, though there is clause for socialism, but the benefit doesn't percolate down. So we should rather look at it in different point of view than running it like a business.
Okay, not to run the nation like a business house. Great. Very, very interesting point of views coming out. Yes, please.
Adding to his point, we have to see the grassroots improvement, and also the change should come from internal of each and every citizen. Like, don't take a short-term solution for whatever problem you have. It should be always a long term.
Not to look out for short-term solutions. Plan for the long-term solutions. Hence, the need for youth to come in, and actively join people so that there is some solution. Yes, please.
I would like to contradict with the point that politics should not be run like a business. Rather, I should say that it should be a professional course or career that should be inculcated in our education system, so that the youth know that what they need to contribute and how they would contribute in the politics. And rather than when just going and joining some political party, they would be more transparent in their transactions.
There has to be a system to ensure that the youth are aware of the entire system and the way which they can go ahead and approach the system and be part of the entire process. The lady right at the back raised her hand. Yes, please.
We all talk about that bringing any changes would involve planning, but for me it's more more of implementation and the follow-up that you take in planning. You set a target that in next 5 years I'll get 10 lakh students educated, but then you at the end of 4 years you get to know that only 2 lakh students you have covered by now, so you go to 8 lakh and get their signatures done.
Okay, great. The point is that all of us will have to put our efforts together. It cannot be a one man's initiative. All of us being youth of this country will have to be part of the system. We cannot, as my friend stated out here, we cannot stand outside the system and say that this is something which is wrong in the system, this has to be changed. We will have to be part of the system and ensure that changes are brought in, the challenges which are before us and before our country are addressed in a much better way in specific sectors, be it education, be it employment, development, or maybe some other sector. So this was our freewheeling discussion with a group of very young and talented management students in Gujarat out here. We will come back again with our next episode. Till then, keep watching Rajya Sabha Television.